News 13 News.
The sights and sounds of the Day of Commemoration.
Love will conquer all.
Their lives meant so much, and their death was not in vain.
A second chance to let the world see who we really are. A second chance to not be defined by our past, but to be defined by our present and the future that we hold in our own hands.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Bettina Boateng. Thank you so much for staying up late with us after the game and joining us for this special team coverage of the Day of Commemoration. Quick reminder for you, we're streaming this newscast right now on our website, alabamas13.com. Well, today has been a day of commemoration, remembering the 4 little girls who lost their lives in the tragic church bombing that happened 50 years ago today. The bells at 16th Street Baptist Church tolled at 10:22 this morning. That's the exact time the bomb exploded, killing 4 little girls. The bells rang for Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Morris Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Denise McNair.
Addie Mae Collins. Denise McNair. Cynthia Morris Wesley.
Sounds of the bell outside of 16th Street Baptist Church, remembering their lives and how their tragic deaths became a turning point in the civil rights movement and a catalyst for change in the United States and around the world. Well, later on today at 3 o'clock this afternoon, the 50 Years Forward Empowerment Week observances culminated with a special service at 16th Street Baptist Church. Many spoke about the lives of those who made a difference in Birmingham's fight for equality. And Mayor William Bell may have said it best, saying that this has been a remarkable year for the city. Linda White takes us inside the church as the victims' family, local, state, and national dignitaries marked that tragic day.
As the choir sang, "Come on over to Freedom Side," we were reminded what that freedom cost. The lives of 4 little girls, 14-year-old Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, born Cynthia Morris, Carol Robertson, and 11-year-old Denise McNair. Their families, leaders of the movement like Reverend Joseph Lowry, Reverend Jesse Jackson, seen here with Attorney General Eric Holder, and Reverend Andrew Young were all here. Young brought his humor, retelling stories from the movement.
And I went from tree to tree, and I didn't hardly get wet.
But Young also repeated King's words from the mass funeral. There's no remission of sin without the shedding of innocent blood, and that unearned suffering is redemptive.
And so we're here to honor not only the 4 little girls, but Virgil Ware and Johnny Robinson, who were killed just because they were black at the same time.
Governor Robert Bentley recalled how the bombing changed him.
So when word spread that a bomb had claimed the lives of 4 little girls inside their place of worship, like many across this nation, I began to realize the extent some will actually go to in order to forcefully attempt to suppress men and women.
And Congresswoman Terry Sewell said she is grateful progress has been made, but there's more work to be done. And this.
I believe that there is great irony and symbolism that because of the senseless deaths of 4 little black girls from Birmingham, that another little black girl from Selma gets to now walk the halls of Congress.
Many saw the bombing as a turning point in the movement, equality, voting rights, and freedom for all. Linda White, Alabama's 13 News.
And as you just saw on Linda White's report, it was standing room only inside today's service at the 16th Street Baptist Church. Outside, those who couldn't get in gathered to be a part of the event anyway. Kalisha Whitman has a reaction of those who stood in the hot afternoon sun outside the church.
Waiting to witness emotions
endless.
I'm overwhelmed. But it's a privilege to be here.
For 21 days, Annie Wright planned for this moment. For 4 hours, she sat patiently across from 16th Street Baptist Church, just for the chance to go inside of the same church where 4 little girls were killed 50 years ago.
It's very important. I want to be here when it happens. My late husband grew up in this area in Bessemer and lived through all this. I grew up in New Jersey, where we went to school with all different kinds of people and everything, and this kind of stuff was never a problem. So I couldn't be here then. I want to be here now.
Miss Annie Wright isn't the only person who waited. Several people couldn't even go inside to hear the service, but they say just being out here in the proximity of the presence of the service is enough, because it's a celebration of 50 years forward.
And as the saying goes, let's go forward. Let's make it even better than it is today.
Taking a look back at what happened, recognizing there is still more work to do, understanding that collectively moving forward with the dream can make it a reality. In Birmingham, Kalisha Whitman, Alabama's 13 News.
For more on today's community memorial service held at 16th Street Baptist Church, or to see the entire service, we have it online for you on our website. Log on to alabamas13.com. Well, this day of commemoration has been 50 years in the making. Birmingham has seen great changes in 5 decades, but the story of this day is still those 4 little girls killed in an act of hate at 10:22 in the morning 5 decades ago. As we continue our 50 years forward coverage, Hillary Goldson takes a look at filmmaker Spike Lee's documentary 4 Little Girls that was shown at Alabama Theater at noon today.
I couldn't stop screaming.
Maxine McNair, her daughter killed by the Ku Klux Klan. She's just one face of Spike Lee's documentary, 4 Little Girls.
Well, I think this is one of those cases where the film gets better every year and is more significant.
September 15th, 1963, today, exactly 50 years after the church bombing. The story's significance is heightened watching it happen in clips.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and I wanted my daughter to see the documentary so she can see her history and understand what's going on.
Stories abounded in the packed audience. Denise McNair's father was a member of this woman's church. She's just now seen the whole film.
I did not want to draw on the bad memories.
The 4 Congressional Gold Medals posthumously bestowed upon the 4 little girls was hard work on the part of Congresswoman Terry Sewell, but it turned out that she wanted to make sure that the hard work that director Spike Lee put into this film was recognized with something similar. But it turned out that award was something Mr. Lee wasn't willing to accept.
You know what? I can't accept this. And I want Mrs. Fred Shulsworth to receive this.
Pioneers and their loved ones present everywhere to look on as we remember tough history.
I'm happy that I got up to come and see it because I feel like it's going to make a great impact on my life.
And the story has already impacted the world. In Birmingham, Hillary Goldson, Alabama's 13 News.
If you would like to see a slideshow of pictures on the 4 Little Girls documentary, visit our website, alabamas13.com. Now, before the documentary was shown and before the commemoration ceremony began, some of our nation's leaders came together to talk about the truth behind international racism. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder and former Secretary of State Dr. Condoleezza Rice were on a panel discussing discrimination around the world this morning. Both Holder and Rice agreed that while so much has been done to change the minds of many, there is still work to be done.
That we should know our history, but we shouldn't be burdened by it. You should, to understand where we are, you have to understand from which we have come. But you can't stay moored in the past.
We, of course, look back and honor the memory of those lost, the memory of those who sacrificed, but we also look forward, because in looking forward, it is truly that we honor their sacrifice.
Eric Holder went on to speak at the commemoration ceremony. Dr. Condoleezza Rice did not attend. Well, still ahead for you. In 1963, hundreds of children and teens took to the streets of Birmingham to protest racial inequality. They were known as the Children Foot Soldiers, and in just a couple of minutes, you'll meet one of those foot soldiers and hear her remarkable story. But first, here's Richard.
Bettina, quite warm out there today with temperatures around 90. I'll look at the 7-day forecast coming up. You're watching a very late edition of Alabama's 13 News at 10, where accuracy matters.
You're watching Alabama's 13 News.
Thanks so much for staying with us as today marks the 50th anniversary of the 16th Street church bombing. Events throughout the city honored the 4 little girls killed inside the church, but also the thousands who took part in the civil rights movement in Birmingham in 1963. Earlier in May of that year, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and members of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference organized and carried out what was called Project C. Now, C stood for Confrontation, a plan of peaceful resistance aimed at ending segregation here in Birmingham. Now, part of that plan involved the city's young black people, and hundreds of children and teenagers took to the streets of Birmingham to protest racial inequality. They marched downtown to try to talk to the mayor about segregation, but they were attacked by fire hoses and, as you see here, police dogs. Images of those marches captured by the media and were shown on TV, seen in newspapers and in magazines all over the United States and around the world. Our Ashley Roberts has the story of one child foot soldier and her remarkable bravery.
The Children's March of 1963.
It was a horrific time. It was a time of horror. It was time to be afraid. It was time of injustice. It was time of inequality.
Their motivation for marching.
We were children and we were willing to die before we would allow ourselves to be treated like our parents.
Gloria Randall was a child foot soldier. 15 years old, she marched out of 16th Street Baptist Church and through the streets in 1963. Danger at every turn.
On May 2nd, 1963, more than 1,000 students skipped school and marched on downtown, gathering at the 16th Street Baptist Church. Bull Connor responded by jailing more than 600 children that day. So the next day, another 1,000 students filled the park in which we stand now. With his cells full and his back against the wall, Connor responded savagely. This is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable that this would have happened.
50 years later, it's still emotional for Randall to walk through Kelly Ingram Park, where so many children encountered abuse, unimaginable violence.
I got water hosed at the end of Kelly Ingram on that side. So I was water hosed down, but I was trying to stand behind the bigger kids because I didn't weigh but 88 pounds.
So you had to be smart.
Yeah, use your head. Yeah, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna stand behind him. He's bigger than I am. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna try to stoop down to try to take some of that pressure off. People rolling down the street like balls. You know, and the water hoses felt like hot grease in my face.
But Randall faced it head on. She says the alternative wasn't an option.
Then I had too many questions as to why I couldn't drink from a water fountain, or why I couldn't eat in that Newberry's, or why I couldn't use that bathroom, and I had to go.
During that time, Randall spent many days at 16th Street Baptist Church in her fight for equality, especially the weeks leading up to the bombing. Randall says she could have easily been inside.
And there was so much bombing going on. The only reason I wasn't in 16th Street bombing is because my mother says, you've been going down there for 5 weeks. You're going to your own church today. Now, we saw it later on, before it was cleaned up. Nobody was in a hurry to clean up a black church. And they left that out for you to remember. Stay in your place. Your place is behind. If you black, you get back. White is right, you know? And that's what the general consensus was at that time.
A time of bloodshed and beatings, but Randall didn't break. A survivor, her steps led to equality.
When the president came on television and he said, segregation is over, I was excited because I felt like I had made a difference. I felt like that trip all the way to 11th Avenue and back down to 19th Street and back across City Hall and me falling on my knees with prayer in my heart. I think if it had not been for God on my side, we would not have made it.
Randall and thousands of other children made history, raised in a time of injustice, now being praised. You're considered a hero for what you did.
Yeah, I thank them. You know, I think they're kind. I've had a lot of interviews and I've had a lot of people want me to say things, you know. But it took me almost 40 years to even open my mouth because I still have wounds that don't heal. I still have wounds that don't heal. And I told you about the wounded warriors. That's what foot soldiers are. They're wounded warriors.
Warriors, we salute because we know this walk of freedom wouldn't be possible without you. Ashley Roberts, Alabama's 13 News.
And speaking of children's marches, earlier this evening, more than 1,000 children and adults marched side by side to Birmingham's Railroad Park. It was part of an effort from the Birmingham City school system to reenact the children's marches of 1963. Sarah Killian has more as we take a look at the Children's March 50 years forward.
50 years later, it's a new day in Birmingham. Over 1,000 children and adults marched through the streets, reflecting on a very different time in this city's history.
It's a wonderful opportunity to bring history to life and to have these students experience that.
For many of these children, their interest in this march started in the classroom.
Our children are so involved and so excited because we've been studying the Watsons. We've been reading the Watsons Go to Birmingham. So this is like a culmination of what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks.
Taking their interest from the classroom back home, the families of these children took an interest and joined in on the march.
It has brought the students' community together and brought us all out here today to recreate the march.
But for one educator, she hopes the lessons these children have learned don't stop here.
I just hope that they learn that we've got to keep moving, that we cannot stop the fight, that it is for them that they can be all they can be.
Continuing the fight and fulfilling their potential 50 years forward. In Birmingham, Sarah Killian, Alabama's 13 News.
To see more video footage and a slideshow of pictures on the Children's March from this afternoon, log on to our website, alabamas13.com.